Welcome to the program, Marni Van Dyk.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you for coming on. Of course, your short film is This Is Not About Swimming. And
hmm
my first question was when I was about to watch it, well, is it about swimming?
Was it?
Was it
Was
about
it?
swimming?
What is it
What,
about
what's
then?
it is? Yeah, if it's not about swimming and she's swimming, what is it about? I don't know. So just if you could summarize, let the people know what the film is about.
Sure. This is not about swimming is a little story about personal bravery. It's about a woman named Kyle who's in her late 40s who doesn't know how to swim and she's very afraid of swimming. And so she decides what she's going to do is learn to swim and she's determined to do so. And of course, it's sort of terrifying for her, but she puts on a bathing suit, also terrifying experience for some people, and goes to a public pool to learn. But she has a sister who is very pregnant and very confused as to why she's doing this because their mother has just died. So it's, of course, not about swimming. It's about how we navigate grief, but and how sometimes navigating grief can put us at odds with the people that are closest to us. But yeah, so it's not about swimming, but she is trying to learn how to swim. So it is sort of about swimming, but of course
So
it's
much
not
more.
about swimming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and as you mentioned, right? Like it's always I find fascinating when you talk to people who are obviously going through the process of grieving and how, and obviously it's difficult for those who have ever
Mhm.
experienced it. It's a very difficult process, but it's also a very strange one because as the film points out,
Mhm.
we all don't do it the same way. It isn't we
Mhm.
all sit in a room with the door locked and the lights off and cry for 7 years. No, it's not. But it is for some other
Mhm.
people. It
For
could be
sure.
about laughing or going to watch movies. That's one of the things that I liked about it was talking about that idea that grief is unique to the individual.
Yeah, and that it's not linear and that it's sort of uncomfortable and awkward and people can be experiencing the same thing and reacting very differently to it. For me personally, I've always felt that laughter is a life raft and I think that humor is healing and when we think of sort of catharsis, we often think of sort of the tears, but I do think that laughter is a release. And for me, when I have gone through some of the hardest times in my life, I know I'm just so desperate for levity. And my way of processing the hard stuff is to try to find the light. And I kind of work back in this film from laughter. Like that is sort of how not to spoil it, but I wanted to get this character to this place of release and levity and for that to be sort of a weird moment. And I sort of worked back from there to build her to that spot. But I completely agree. There's a lot of ways to navigate things. I think we've all been through it in a lot of ways in the past few years. And so that's kind of what I was trying to do here was offer up sort of a little hopeful piece, a little sort of break in the sky moving forward.
Yeah, no, totally. And like that's the thing. There is a lot of levity in this, but it's like it's a comedy, but it's not like an out and out comedy. It is very much
Yeah.
like a real life comedy. Like these are the types of films I really enjoy the most when
Mm.
everything feels like it would in real life. Nothing feels like a movie moment. It feels like, well,
Mm-hmm.
these are real characters. This is how things go down. Even when, there are a few short small moments in the film that are a bit, like out of the blue. Like I gotta say, Emma Hunter, of course, is a great comic
Oh,
actor.
oh.
Best introduction
Yeah.
for a character I've seen in a long time. That is just the
Yeah.
best thing. And what I also loved is that Emma's character, she's just emoting out to Kyle, Jessica Allen's
Mhm.
character, just giving her all. It's like saying, like, I'm trying to get through this as well. Like, this is how grief's affecting me, and she's crying. But because it's Emma Hunter, the comedy is just coming through at the same time. I feel for the character, but I can't stop laughing at the same time. So when it came to this, that was definitely, I'm guessing, what you were going for with Emma, right?
Oh, I mean, listen, if I could write for Emma Hunter for the rest of my life, I would be a happy person. She is one of the funniest people who's ever walked this planet. And she just so understands how to ground humor and the reality of living in the world. And she understands my writing very, very well. And also I understand her strengths as a performer, but 100%, you know, Kyle, who's played by Jessica Allen beautifully, Jessica's not a actor. She's not. She, this, you know, I went to Jessie and I kind of wrote it with her in mind, which is a terrible thing. I would never recommend doing because you never know if someone will say yes, but she wasn't. And then I wanted to pair her with Emma, who is like such an incredible grounding force, because I wanted to have these two opposite arcs. Jessie's character starts sort of like completely out of control and doesn't know which way is up. And over the course of the film, she sort of finds her power and her purpose, and she steps into it. And then Emma's character, Ange, the sister, sort of has the opposite trajectory. She starts the film confidently, and the more Kyle sort of commits to this goal, which to her seems so inconsequential, the more it kind of unravels her, the more she doesn't understand then which way is up. And so they sort of go on these opposite trajectories. And so 100%, that was it. When I was writing the character of Ange, I wrote it for Emma, and I wanted her to, I mean, like a sort of crazy pregnant lady is just like a really fun character to begin with, but I just knew she could hit all of those really like intimate moments. There's such a hard turn in the script where she goes from talking about all this sort of nonsense to trying to have an emotional moment with her sister. And it's such a difficult turn to make as an actor. And she does it just like, you can just see the discomfort in her body, and so small. She's such a gifted dramatic and comedic performer. We all think of her as a comic, but I mean, I've never seen performance of Juliet as strong as Emma Hunter's. So she has the ability to oscillate between those two things beautifully. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, in both cases, you got great performances out of both of them, and it really helps sell the entire storyline, right? Like as Andrew alluded earlier, like, you know, it's not often that we get to see something with all the stuff that we do, me and him watch on a regular basis, that we see something that feels like really real and not put upon, you know.
Thanks.
Like that was the thing. Like, it was even watching the characters go through their two different versions of grief, and I was just like, yeah, I've kind of felt both of those in my own past, and then knowing people I know who have gone through it, it's just like, that was really great to see, you know. And even the introduction out front,
yeah, we don't want to give it away because it's just such a great entrance for a character. Totally.
It is.
I love a strong character introduction, personally.
Yeah. But I just wanted to say is like, I felt it so real, because the pregnant ladies that I have known over the years has expressed very similar sentiments at times.
Exactly. No, yeah, that was exactly the whole thing. And I learned that, I didn't even realize this. One of our producers, Jen DeLucia, told me it's like not even illegal to do that if you're pregnant in the city of Toronto. It's a bylaw. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't know. I was like, good to know. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, just in case in the future, if it ever, you know, you just like, if you are, then you know, all right, great. Here we go.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like the film is called This Is Not About Swimming. You think it's about this person who's swimming. And I think ultimately the film, what you really care about is the relationship between these two women, these two people. And they're so at odds. But I think, you know, like it doesn't feel like that's what it is until I think we get to the end. But I think that's an important piece of it for me, is like, we want to know that this relationship is going to be okay. And I don't think like they're still not on the same page at the end of the film, just like at the beginning of the film. But I think, that was something too about the grieving process, is that I found personally, sometimes people can sort of retreat and isolate when they're trying to process. And something that I've learned is if you open yourself up, you're much more able to connect. And so that is kind of where we leave it, is like, they're trying, and that might be enough. But yeah.
Even even the swim instructor, I was like,
great.
I was like, wow, this this guy is like, is he a registered therapist? Like the way, just the way that he handles the situation. I was like, wow, this is human
Daniel's
beings.
a brilliant actor too.
Yeah.
And they actually was the origin of the original idea of the film. Was there was somebody in my life who was a very accomplished long distance swimmer, and it required such a tremendous amount of time swimming. And it's not like running or cycling where you can listen to music. You're underwater. You're literally underwater. And this person would train for hours and hours and hours and hours. And that's a very particular type of person. And, we all know people that are afraid of water, that don't know how to swim. And I kind of was neutral. I learned to swim as a kid, but I didn't really feel any which way about water. Yeah, and when I asked him, I'm like, what do you think about when you are swimming for 35 hours a week? And they said what Daniel says in the film, which is nothing. And to me, I was like, oh, suddenly it opened up this idea that this place that can be such a source of like fear and anxiety for some people is actually a source of peace and freedom. And that's what it was for that swimmer. And so that's what I wanted to give to Daniel, so that I could put these two characters, these that are very unlike each other, that would have no really reason to ever interact with each other in the world, and figure out how they both actually could influence each other. Because you do see over the course of the film, Daniel's like, at first it doesn't see her really or care. And I think over time kind of starts to notice this persistence and tries to emotionally connect with her in order to help her along. And I think inspires him in a little bit, because she's put herself out there in such a sort of like humiliating way. And the gift he gives her like sort of lets her break free and find her own sense of peace. So yeah, but he's such a brilliant actor, just so confident. And again, like, he has such a wonderful scene partner with Jesse.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I can say it's, it's a under 12-minute film, and it has two great story arcs happening at the exact same time, just as you laid out there. It is such an enjoyable film that, of course, is going to be playing at TIFF as part of Short Cuts program. Now, this was your directorial debut, correct?
Yeah.
So how excited are you that your directorial debut is at this year's Toronto International Film Festival?
Oh man, it's a total dream.
Yeah.
It's a total dream. This doesn't happen. This is not how it goes. I've been in the industry for a long time. I've been a writer for a long time.
Yeah.
And this was sort of the first time I took a swing at directing my own material. And so, making independent film, you're really asking for a lot of people to trust you and get on board and support you. And there's not a lot of resources. So I got this like incredible team of people, everybody in front and behind the camera were just like absolutely incredible. And you really hope that you can put it together and that we'll have a little bit of a life. But like TIFF is just such an incredible festival. And so to have our world premiere there, it's like a very special thing. And I just I'm glad that is sort of a gift for the whole team that made this little weird film, that it resonated with the programming team at TIFF, and that I hope resonates with audiences as well. Shorts are interesting. It's like you're doing a whole little world in this little tiny little package. But yeah, man, dream come true. This is the greatest. It's so great.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to people getting to check it out as part of the Short Cuts program at TIFF this year. As I said, I had a lot of fun with this film. I really enjoyed it. I laughed. I was touched. It was great. It was very much. And so I hope that you have an excellent time at the festival, and maybe we'll run into each other out there on Festival Street.
Oh, that would be a total dream. High five. And don't forget to stay hydrated, because every year it's the same thing. I'm like keeling over by day 4 because I
always make sure I have my water. That's the thing. Usually I come out of if I'm at the Scotiabank After every screening, I walk directly to the drink thing with whatever cup I have, fill it with the water, and just keep going. So
you're better than I am, like mainlining coffee and like so this year I'll change the narrative for myself.
Alrighty.
That's good. I got dehydrated last year on this first Saturday. It was a bad scene. So no, you don't want that.
Definitely don't want that. Well, thank you so much. Hope you have a great night.
Wonderful. You too. Thank you guys. Cheers.
Bye, Marni.
Bye.
Bye.